the decomposition part as well. Data challenges is definitely something that we're used to in our flight right now. So we have multiple data sources. The first data problem that we're going to have is which data source do we use or which data sources do we use. Even if you find a SME, it's sometimes difficult to get the SME to figure out what's what. They're used to dashboard views and one-offs. So when you get enterprise level data all at once, even the SMEs kind of have trouble with it. So you have to vet the data very, very carefully before you start building upon that. From the rawest form possible. You want to grab the data from the rawest form and transform it using the business rules of your organization, of course. But then immediately validate, and validate. And once you validate, you can press forward with that. Now, as far as missing data and incorrect data, fat-fingered data, it depends on the data. That's the answer. So sometimes you can, it depends on the data. You can leave it blank. You can set it aside and ask questions to like the working level group to why they're blank. It depends on who is actually inputting the data. So this will give you ammunition to go back to another organization that's inputting the data. It gives your leadership the ammunition to communicate with them and say, hey, we can't figure out the end item solution because we're getting the wrong data. So we want to be able to measure the incorrect data so that we can feed that information back so that we can get that single value stream going. We don't want incorrect data coming in so that we don't put out incorrect data to the next person. So, there's a word called impute for a lot of data, but it depends on the data. You could take an average of data, but if it's something like the stock market, you might want to take the two nearest points and get something in between. You might want to just take the last point and put it in there. But the whole point is to also have data lineage. So if you do input your own data, you have to make that very clear that you've done that throughout the whole process and keep that within the data pipeline. So the governance anyways is if you're going to put a data point in there that didn't exist, that needs to be well documented. So, and then when there's fat fingers, hopefully that there'll be some sort of fat finger that is definitely off. You can create some rules, like if it's supposed to start with 4 digits and end with a letter, and there's a letter somewhere in there, you can easily write some scripts that'll pull those aside right away. You can also take the other fields of the data. Maybe there's a shop code or something else in there. Something else in that data might lead you to believe that you can change that data field to be what its neighbors are like, so to speak. I will say that there's two outcomes